The city possesses a sort of loneliness, the alarm, the grind. In the hallway, you and your neighbor trade polite stares. We're cool, but don't say too much. By lunch, you've passed 1,000 faces and met no one. Modern cities put us together but excise belonging. But by the end of this video, you'll have a way to become findable without having to jump on yet another app. So let's talk about it. The city makes you want people you don't actually know. Across a train platform. 3 seconds is all your brain needs to build a story. The way she walks, the way her coat trails behind her. And then wait, did she just smile? Then the train arrives and she's disappeared. In that instant, people become mental Play-Doh. That woman on a platform isn't a person with a complicated life, a loud family, and a favorite meal. She's the woman on the platform. Someone your mind can do whatever they want with. That's because the modern culture turns us into shards of information. A few curated photos and an Instagram reel, and now we have to make emotional decisions based around these fragments. But humans don't make sense in fragments. We have to be experienced in our totality. Now, let's be honest. The past wasn't perfect, and gossip could lead to people being unfairly treated in small areas. But there was a middle layer of discovery. There were people who could tell you she's lovely, but she gets a bit dramatic when she's upset. Or he's a kind-hearted man, but his family situation is complicated. That insight gave context to first impressions. Cities stripped that buffer down to its raw bones, and dating apps compressed it further. Romantic attraction got distilled into brutal first impressions. Impress or get lost. There was no room for the awkward, bumbling appeal that made the 90s rom-coms believable. Today, charm, humor, and style have to be clear on day one, or the feed force feeds you 1,000 different replacements. You know, it's kind of crazy that the city is full of people looking for deep and meaningful relationships, but we're simultaneously obsessed with what we see on the surface. But here's a good time for me to ask you guys, when was the last time a stranger became a person? What changed? Let me know in the comments. It might help somebody. When you start a new job, some landlords will see you as a risk. In that case, you bring along a guarantor, someone who says he's good for it. Relationships need that too. A barber who knows everyone's business even though nobody told him. A church auntie who always knows when something's off with you. These are social guarantors, people who confirm or contradict the story that we tell about ourselves. That web doesn't just build trust between two people. In the right situation, it invites people who care about you to support your romantic universe. Those small signals used to buffer us from strangers who could pop up, perform a version of themselves, blow everything up, and then just vanish. I don't know about you, but whenever my mom found out I was dating somebody, she would say, whatever happens in this relationship, remember that you carry your family name. She made me understand that I had a responsibility to conduct myself properly as a partner because it had wider ramifications. And whilst we're on the topic of dating, here's a little gem for you. Before date 3, meet your date in a space where you already belong. A running group, a quiz night. Allow them to be immersed in a world that is meaningful to you. I call this the blended world approach. And I say that because modern dating strips buffers. So we have to improvise our own checks. Instagram scans, a cheeky Google search, and then we drop a dossier into a group chat of our friends like a committee hearing. What's happening here is we're trying to rebuild social authentication from digital breadcrumbs. And that's because our city interactions don't give us any. Are they who they say they are? Is the car in the photos actually theirs? Are they safe? And for women especially, this risk management is kind of essential because in England and Wales, the Office of National Statistic data shows hundreds of thousands of women report sexual assault each year, with a large share involving partners, ex-partners, dates, or other known people. When nobody can vouch for anyone, it raises the emotional temperature of dating and suspicion becomes our default. But keep watching to understand how to turn the temperature down. Also, if this resonates, tap that like button so the algorithm shows this to somebody who needs it. Now, I've lived in the city for a long time and it teaches you a strange survival skill. Ignore people. And I get it, you can't respond to everyone, so you learn the code. Don't invite people in unless there's a reason. Keep moving, be busy, always be busy. And I think this is why attention from strangers is supposed to feel flattering in theory, but it can feel awkward and intimidating in practice. When someone is tied to people you already trust, that shared connection gives people a safe landing space. Meeting new people through old friends doesn't feel as if it's an invasion of space and privacy. I'm gonna show you something. This week, when you go to your favorite coffee shop, find out the barista's name and say it twice. Most customers blur together, but the moment you say, "Thank you, Sarah," "See you next week, Sarah," you separate yourself from the stream of faceless transactions. Because human beings remember being remembered. But urban life keeps cutting the threads that make human connection deep and meaningful. The colleague that you've built real rapport with gets a new job and now you don't see them as much. Your friends move further out because the rent went up. Again, honest question. How are you supposed to build a relationship when cities keep pulling people apart? Social media and dating apps took what the city was and indexed it. These companies took the city and compressed it into your hand. Think about it. The city surrounds you with people you'll never meet. The apps turn that into infinite profiles. The city keeps you moving and the apps keep you scrolling. Yes, chronic app use feels hollow, but it isn't alien. It's called social media for a reason. Think of apps as a city with a cleaner interface, a doorway to meet people without the pressure of a real-time response. And sure, I could tell you, get some discipline, delete all your apps. But when your neighborhood has no social life, when your friends are overworked and money tired, you'll always go back to the apps because human beings want to feel connected. It's just that apps introduce people in the coldest way possible. And I think that's the tragedy of App City. It gives the lonely access to each other whilst training them to act in a way that keeps them in isolation. So what do we do with all this information? Because the answers aren't exactly simple. Not everyone can move closer to friends. Not everyone can afford the area where they actually feel connected. I mean, most of us can't even buy a home where we grew up. But it starts with understanding that the city has trained us to be temporary. You work until something better comes along. You join a gym and never learn a single name. You can't be a known person whilst living in obscurity. The antidote to romantic loneliness may not begin with romance at all. It might begin with an ability to root yourself, returning somewhere long enough for your presence to become familiar and for you to become a recognizable face. Your relationship shouldn't be the first place that you become known. Singles often ask, how do I find someone? But the question that needs to be asked is, where am I becoming a discoverable face? Love finds us through the lives that we're already living. But if your life consists of work, scrolling, and surviving in private, who is getting to experience what you bring? See, when you truly belong somewhere, it makes you feel less isolated, less dependent, and that in turn makes you seem less desperate for connection. Because sometimes, before love can find you, it has to know where you are. I'm Sam, and until the next time, make some room.